You are about to yawn. Maybe not this second, but probably within the next 60 seconds. Just reading that sentence has already started the process. That is the first strange thing about yawning. You cannot will it away. You cannot decide it will not happen. Some part of your brain has received a signal, and the rest of you is simply along for the ride. The second strange thing is this. Nobody fully knows why. Not the way scientists know why your heart beats, or why your pupils dilate in the dark, or why your body runs a fever. Yawning has been happening since before there were humans to question it. Fish yawn, lizards yawn, fetuses in the womb yawn. And for most of recorded history, every answer we gave was simply wrong. The explanation that lasted 2,000 years was elegant. It made perfect sense. You yawn because your body needs oxygen. The brain detects a rising level of carbon dioxide in the blood. It triggers a deep, involuntary inhale. Fresh air floods the lungs. The system resets. Clean. Logical. Satisfying. Hippocrates believed it. Physicians in the Renaissance printed it in their texts. Medical schools were still teaching it in the 20th century. And then in 1987, a researcher at the University of Maryland named Robert Provine ran the experiment nobody had apparently bothered to run before. He gave subjects air saturated with carbon dioxide, the precise trigger the oxygen theory required. Yawning should have increased dramatically. It did not change at all. Then he gave subjects pure oxygen, removing any possible need for the behavior. Yawning continued exactly as before. The theory that had stood for 2 millennia collapsed inside a university lab in the space of a few months, which meant the real answer was still out there, and it was stranger than anyone had predicted. To understand what yawning actually does, you have to go back, much further than ancient Greece, much further than the emergence of our species. Yawning is not a human trait. It is not even a mammal trait. It is one of the oldest reflexes in vertebrate biology. Sharks yawn, snakes yawn after swallowing prey, stretching the jaw back into alignment. Birds yawn before sleep. Whatever problem yawning is solving, evolution decided it was worth preserving across 400 million years and an almost incomprehensible distance between species. Here is the clue that broke the problem open. In 2007, a researcher named Andrew Gallup at Princeton began studying yawning not as a respiratory behavior, but as a thermal one. His hypothesis was precise. Yawning helps regulate the temperature of the brain, not the body. The brain specifically. The mechanics are straightforward. When you open your jaw wide, you stretch the blood vessels in the face and skull. The deep inhale pulls cooler ambient air across the sinus cavity and the back of the throat. Blood flow to the prefrontal cortex briefly increases. The cumulative effect is a small but measurable drop in brain temperature. A fraction of a degree, but meaningful to a system that operates within a narrow thermal range. Gallup tested this when he pressed cold packs to the foreheads of subjects. Already cooling their brains artificially, yawning dropped significantly. When subjects were instructed to breathe only through their noses, cutting off the oral airflow, yawning frequency rose. The body was compensating. This is not speculation. The data replicated across multiple studies and multiple species. There was also a seasonal signature. People yawn most frequently in moderate temperatures, spring mornings, cool autumn afternoons, almost never in extreme cold, and almost never in intense heat. Under the cooling model, this makes immediate sense. When outside air is cooler than your brain, yawning works efficiently. When outside air is hotter than your body, inhaling it accomplishes nothing. The reflex, having no function, simply stops. And then there is the detail that changes everything. Human fetuses yawn in the womb. Ultrasound images have captured it at 11 weeks of gestation. Long before there is any sensory input, any tiredness, any social world to respond to. The nervous system, barely formed, is already rehearsing the behavior, already calibrating. Whatever yawning does for a developed brain, the developing brain understands it is going to need it. Yawning is not a symptom of sleepiness. It is the brain demanding a reset. But here is the part most people miss. If yawning is a private thermal regulation tool, a maintenance behavior running quietly in the background, then why does watching someone else yawn make you yawn? Why does a photograph of a yawning face trigger it? Why does reading the word yawn again and again make you feel the pull in your jaw right now? Contagious yawning is not the same phenomenon as yawning. It is a completely separate behavior, running on completely different neural architecture, and what it reveals about the human brain has nothing to do with temperature. It has to do with empathy. In the early 2000s, researchers began mapping which animals were susceptible to contagious yawning. The pattern was not random. Chimpanzees catch yawns from other chimpanzees. Bonobos catch yawns. Wolves catch yawns, but only from pack members they are closely bonded with. Dogs catch yawns from their owners at a significantly higher rate than from strangers. When a dog contagiously yawns at the person it is attached to, its heart rate drops. Not a fear response, not a stress response. A calm, attuned one. The behavior clusters. It gathers around species with rich social lives, strong attachment systems, and something researchers call theory of mind. The cognitive ability to model what another being is experiencing. Children do not begin showing contagious yawning until around age 4 or 5. That is not a coincidence. That is exactly when theory of mind emerges in human development. Before that window, a yawn from someone across the room is just a yawn. After it, the yawn carries social information. The brain registers it as a state worth mirroring. Studies with populations where empathy processing runs differently show measurably reduced susceptibility to contagious yawning. Not absent, reduced. The same neural circuits that allow you to feel the edges of what another person is experiencing are the circuits that make their yawn become yours. You did not decide to catch it. You did not choose to synchronize. Your brain read a signal from another nervous system and responded before you were aware there was anything to respond to. Think about what that means. For hundreds of thousands of years before language could carry nuance, before there were words for exhaustion or alertness or the particular kind of mental fog that settles in late afternoon, groups of humans communicated through behavior, through mirroring, through contagion. One person signals a state change. A yawn moves through a group, not because anyone commanded it, not because a leader decided rest was appropriate, but because the nervous systems in the circle were running the same ancient code. The group updated at once, without a word spoken. Yawning may be one of the oldest broadcast mechanisms our species ever possessed. A wordless signal, a shared recalibration, the kind of primitive social technology that holds a group together before grammar exists to do it. The next time someone near you yawns, and you feel the involuntary stretch, the deep breath, the brief, strange calm that follows, you are not being impolite. You are not being tired. You are doing something your ancestors did around fires in the Rift Valley 100,000 years ago. Your brain received a signal that has been traveling through our species for longer than civilization has existed. And without asking your permission, it answered. But now you know.